What is up, guys? Delboy here. Just a quick prediction video for Robert Easter Jr. versus Denis Shafikov. This fight takes place tomorrow on Friday, and it is for the IBF Lightweight Championship held by Robert Easter Jr. I think this is a really good fight. One of the better fights of the weekend, actually, in terms of sort of competitive action. I think it's a really good style matchup as well. If we look at both guys going into this fight, Robert Easter, the champion, he comes into this fight with a record of 19 wins, 0 defeats, 0 draws, and 14 of those 19 wins coming by way of knockout, whereas Denis Shafikov comes into the fight with a record of 38 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw, 20 of those 38 wins coming by way of knockout. So Denis Shafikov is a more experienced man. He's had over twice as many fights as Robert Easter Jr. He's had more knockouts than fights for when you compare him to Robert Easter Jr. So Shafikov definitely has the more experience in this fight, and when you look at both guys' careers overall, you could maybe even argue that he's fought better competition. Denis Shafikov has fought Richard Commey, who both guys have fought. He fought Jamal Herring when he was undefeated. He fought Rances Barthélemy. He fought Miguel Vasquez. Guys like that. So, arguably, Denis Shafikov's fought better competition. I would say he has, he's more experienced, so he's got that sort of advantage playing into his hands. Whereas Robert Easter, he's the younger guy. He's 26 years old. He's a fresher guy. So he's coming into this fight with the sort of youth and the freshness, if you will, but maybe some inexperience. By the way, Denis Shafikov is 32 years old. If you look at both guys in terms of their physicality, it's actually quite a height discrepancy. Denis Shafikov is 5'5" with a 68.5-inch reach, whereas Robert Easter Jr. is 5'11" with a 76-inch reach. So Robert Easter has a significant height advantage, and he has a significant reach advantage. So the physical attributes play into Robert Easter's favour. And I think if you look at both guys as well, you'd have to say Robert Easter has more power also, and probably more speed. So in terms of the physicality of the two fighters, you've got to give it to Robert Easter. In terms of a stylistic matchup, I think it's quite an interesting one. I think it's one of those fights where, and by the way, I'll say straight away, I'm picking Robert Easter to win by a competitive points win. That's what I'm picking. But if you look at the stylistic matchup, I think it's potentially a fight where Robert Easter can make it as simple or as hard as he wants. I mean, he can really make a meal of this, and it could be a really tough fight. But if he actually utilises his attributes, then it should be a relatively clear fight, although still competitive, because I think Shafikov's a good contender. Shafikov, to me, he's most effective up close when he's in the mid-range and on the inside. He's a compact guy, so he likes to get up close, work the body, sort of work inside your work kind of thing. He's good with the uppercuts on the inside. He's kind of almost like a buzzsaw. He'll try and outwork you. He is skilled on the inside because he doesn't actually get hit that much on the inside. If you watch the Commey fight, Commey was a better guy from the outside, but every time it got up close, to me, Shafikov was the boss, and that's what won him the fight. When he was up close, Shafikov was clearly the more educated fighter. Shafikov is a very good inside fighter. He's got good footwork to close the distance. He brings very good pressure. And one thing I will say, if Easter hasn't sort of learnt from the Commey fight, then potentially he's probably going to have a hard night here. Because I think Easter is good on the outside. He's good at the mid-range, but on the inside, I don't think he's that great. We saw Commey on the inside against Easter do some work, and Commey, to me, came up second best against Shafikov on the inside. So I know triangle theories don't always work, but if if Comey was working well on the inside against Easter, you'd imagine Shafikov can. But yeah, that's Shafikov's best chance, is to try and get past that jab of Easter and get on the inside and do some work. As I said, Easter is quite straightforward how he should approach this fight. He's the taller man by a significant margin. He's got the bigger reach by a significant margin. He needs to pop that jab. He needs to follow through with that right hand. We saw him against Argenis Mendes, where he boxed really well that night. He was boxing behind his jab, boxing on the back foot, stepping on the gas when he had to. A really sort of complete performance, and he knocked out Mendes in that fight. And to me, that was still his best performance to date. He looked really complete that night. He didn't quite replicate that against Richard Comey and Luis Cruz, but it's definitely in the locker. He needs to keep it long. He needs to keep it simple. Don't get too extravagant. Don't get involved in a war, because Shafikov is a tough guy. Great inside fighter, brings the pressure. Great, he's a fit fighter as well. You know, he's got a great stamina. So he can't afford to let Shafikov work on the inside, because I don't think he's good enough on the inside, to be quite honest. But ultimately, both guys are going to have their moments in this fight, but I think the more dynamic power of Robert Easter, the jab of Robert Easter, and the better technical long-range boxing of Easter should see him through in this fight. Because I think, although Shafikov, like I said, he's a great inside fighter, maybe he doesn't have the power to really get Easter's respect. And that's one thing that might let him down in this fight. He's not a particularly big puncher. So even when he gets on the inside and he's working away, what effect is it going to have? You know, Easter is clearly the bigger puncher out of these two, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm expecting a Robert Easter win. I'm expecting him to do it by points, a tough points decision, but I think it'll be relatively clear. That's what I'm going for, a Robert Easter unanimous decision. I think it's a really good fight. I think potentially it's a sleeper fight. Denis Shafikov is a very good fighter. If you look at take away the champions, you could argue that maybe Shafikov is the best guy outside the champions. I think it's arguable. I really do. But yeah, I think it's a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. What do you guys think? How do you see it going? I've got Easter by points. Peace.